All right, welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we your FFC blah, 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 bloopers for the... I can't even say bloopers.
Yep, it's okay.
And restarting
English is a
again.
thing.
Yes. We can have a blooper roll, it's fine. I was trying to do like a Drifter opening, but that's not happening. Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us this week. If you have a suggestion, you can shoot it over to us through the interwebs. If you want to send it by carrier pigeon, I can't guarantee it'll get there, but if it does, Blue will feed it some birdseed. This week...
Actually... Still waiting for that one from last. I think was it last month? We'll send it by pigeon. Okay. Good luck.
The owl. What is it
the
called?
Owlpost. Owlpost. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No. This week we're talking about top 3 games we wish we had played or had time to play, or just top 3 games we've missed as far as Blue and I, because it's just the two of us tonight. So, as always, we're going to have Blue go first. I'm going to go last, just like every week. Blue, what is your number 3 games you wish you had played?
Yeah, so my number 3 is one that I'm trying to actually... I'm actually trying to chip my way in through it, is Witcher 3. I missed out on Witcher 2, but I didn't put it on there. Like, I love the Witcher 2 story arc. It's really great. I was not a big fan. Like, my biggest thing with games is actually... The biggest thing that gets in the way is, time. I don't have a lot of free time. But also, I have become very picky about mechanics. Like, if it's a mechanic that I'm not feeling it, and it goes back to my first thing, time. My time is so limited that I've gotten into a really bad habit, and I don't even know if it's a bad habit, but I've gotten into a habit of, like, I'll give a game like 30 minutes, and if I'm just like not feeling the mechanics, I'm like, look, I'll read the story and I'll watch cutscenes. Like, I'll watch they'll do the cutscene movies on YouTube and stuff, but I just won't play it. Like, I have no I don't have time to grind through games anymore. And so Witcher 2 was kind of in that regard. I wasn't feeling the mechanics of Witcher 2. So I didn't really, and like, the story is amazing. The story is awesome. Witcher 3 came out, looks amazing. It looks awesome. And it finally came up on Xbox Game Pass, which Xbox Game Pass has done huge favors because you can actually download the games and just try them, and there's like no guilt because you're not paying like $60 to try out a game that you could not like.
Right.
So that's actually made my list. Actually, it was really hard to put the list together because all the games that I would have put on here, I've already actually tried because of the Xbox Game Pass. So Witcher 3 came up, I think it was like a month or 2 ago, and I downloaded it, and I just started it up like last week. So it's like, it's in that gray area of like, I still haven't, I would consider not having played it yet, but I am chipping away at it. But it is one that is on the list for sure. And I mean, the mechanics are, for anyone out there who hasn't played it yet, I really appreciate the mechanics. And I like the open world status. Like, it's very, very much open world. It's like, here, have some adventures. Here's the storyline, but you don't have to follow it, which I love.
That's nice.
I love that in single player games. Yeah.
Play. Definitely. I'm actually going to kind of follow a lead with you. I had Witcher 3 on my list, but I had an alternative just in case you went there. And
predictable.
We think alike a lot of the times. Just saying. We really do. And so my number 3 is actually going to be very similar, but it's I want to say a little bit older than Witcher, and that's Dragon Age.
Yeah, see, I can't do squad-based. I can't do squad-based. That's one of the mechanics that just kills it.
Right, and that's one of the things that kind of has for me too, but I know there's like a really cool political thing going on, and the story is really cool, and I appreciate that, because I mean, that's something I love in general with games, and that's what keeps me playing a game. Like, the mechanics can be fine and fun, but unless I get hooked in the first, like, 20 minutes of a game, I tend to put it down.
I'll be honest.
And that's just the reality of it.
The very first Dragon Age was probably one of the few ones that I played. I think I played nearly 3/4 of the game, and it was because of the story. Like, that story was amazing. And actually, Infomage, Josh, he's a huge Dragon Age. If you ever want to geek out about Dragon Age, mention it to Josh, and he will just, I mean, he loves talking. Like, he's actually started, he does a lot of D&D stuff on tabletop down in his home, or where he lives now. And he has actually started finding artists to commission to do character portraits for his characters in the tarot style that Dragon Age kind of has.
Oh, nice.
So he has like all these portraits of his characters that he plays, like his main characters that he plays. He has commissioned a couple of them to be done in that tarot deck style. And they're really, like, it's really cool. Like, the story, the art, and everything about Dragon Age is really amazing. Literally, I can't stand the reliance on squad-based stuff. It's Mass Effect is the same thing. I can't do it. My brain doesn't, like, for some reason, my brain does not understand that process of allocation.
Right. I mean, I get it. It's just Mass Effect I had a hard time with and I'm thinking the latest Mass Effect, and I've heard from people
Andromeda?
that it's completely different than any other Mass Effect. So not to judge the series based off of that.
Yeah. And I've heard, I mean, I've even heard mixed things on Andromeda. Like, I think, to kind of get into what we'll be talking about in the actual episode, but I think with that, part of the failure there wasn't on the developers as much as it was on the community overhyping stuff. Very, very similar to No Man's Sky, like,
or Anthem,
or any major AAA title. It runs the risk of overhype, because I think Andromeda, like, it wasn't. I don't know. I've heard mixed, like, now that it's been out for a year.
I've heard there's still good good story aspects to it, and that there's some really interesting interpersonal relationships that happen in the game world. It's just, it never really resonated as far as the mechanics, because I did not understand what I was supposed to be doing. There wasn't a whole lot of linear aspects to it, which is fine. Like, that kind of gameplay is like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls and just any number of games anymore that are that first person or single person type gameplay. I just never really got hooked into that as much as I have some other titles.
Well, and actually that kind of is a segue into my number 2, because I think that's also the interesting thing that we were kind of mentioning too, is the story, right? For me, if the mechanics are so bad that they get in the way of me getting involved in the story, I can't, like, I'm like, I want to enjoy you. Like, I want to have fun, but you are getting in the way of yourself. But that's actually Horizon Zero Dawn is my number 2.
I love Horizon Zero Dawn.
And it's mostly because I really like the universe that Horizon Zero Dawn exists in. It seems like it's really kind of from what I've read, and I remember when we talked to, I think it was Potato that we had on when we were talking that for our extra lore. My understanding of what, like, that whole universe is doing, the game mechanics seem very similar to Assassin's Creed, which I absolutely love. I think, like, I mean, literally the only reason I haven't played it is because I don't own a PlayStation. I have
a funny, cute story about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, no.
So I work at a shoe store now, and I work with a variety of peoples, because we do a lot of more high-end, not high-end shoes, but high-end service. So we do a lot of fitting. We talk about foot health and stuff like that. And there is a gentleman who has worked there for years. His name is Tom. He's probably in his 70s at this point, and he's never played video games in his entire life. But he picked up a PlayStation because he wanted to increase his dexterity. And the first game he chose to play was Horizon Zero Dawn. And for the last couple of weeks, for the entire month of January, essentially, and a little bit of December, because he got it back in December, he has been reporting to me every Saturday, because I only work with him on Saturdays, how he's doing. And he finished the game last weekend.
Nice.
So he's actually, for somebody who's never played the game at all, period.
Did he enjoy it?
Yeah,
I mean,
he
I'm
loved
assuming
it. He's
he
getting
did,
ready to,
but...
Yeah, he's getting ready to go into, like, the Iceborne section of it. And he's really, like... He's gained a new appreciation. He's always been like a sports fan, like a football fan, but he never understood the aspect of video games and anything like that. And it's been fun teaching him about the medium.
Yeah, the other one that he might appreciate, I don't know, I'm assuming it's on PlayStation. I am terrible at PlayStation titles. Tomb Raider, the new Tomb Raider series.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, God, the revamp of the Tomb Raider series has been, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about the next game, because I know he's going to play Red Dead Redemption next. that is the next one that's
is he playing the first one or the second one?
The second one.
The second one, okay.
Just came out.
So, Grand Theft Auto Horse? Or Grand Theft Horse?
Why?
Red Dead was one of the games that I got for, like, free back, like, when... I can't remember how I got it, but I got it on the Xbox. And I just remember... the only thing I remember from that game is, first off, it was just... when I get into, like, the Grand Theft style games, I just immediately am like, oh, there's the main storyline. Well, there's a right degree turn away from that. I'm just going to go down to something else.
And that's fine.
And, and they completely embrace it in Red Dead. But there's a thing that, like, you can... I can't remember how you unlock it, but you can get a horse that literally has rainbows shooting out of its butt while it runs. And I got it, and I'm like, I swear to you, I probably spent like an hour just running around the map giggling because this horse is literally just
it's like Neon Cat or Scion Cat.
It's exactly like...
my God.
I think it's like Death. Like, it's like the skeleton horse, too. It's like... It's just like, oh, my God.
That's ridiculous, but amazing.
I'm like,
You mentioned GTA 5.
Oh, yeah. I haven't gotten... I can't play GTA. Like,
I have... I like GTA 5. I played... That was one of my first games once I got Xbox when I was teaching.
That's
a couple years ago.
The most recent one, right?
Yes, supposedly they're getting ready to release a 6th one, but we'll see. They've just been doing updates to it for the last 10 years, it feels like. But
because they have that's the one that's online now.
Yes.
Yeah.
My number 2 is actually I would say semi-similar concept in some respects, or at least with some of the missions, and it's Watch Dogs. I like the idea of the hacker game. I've never played it, but I've always kind of been interested in it.
Watch Dogs is... So we got to be... We were... I think the year that I got to go to E3 was the year that... It was either Watch Dogs or Watch Dogs 2. I can't remember. But they were doing the demo, and we actually got into the Ubisoft Ubi Lounge. And so we got to hang out with the developers while they were showing the demo. And it was like, oh my God. Like, that was one of the few things that I was like, because, it was the same year that they were doing For Honor. So we got to watch the developer talk about the combat sequencing for For Honor, which was really cool too. But they were talking about, like, I want to say it's Watch Dogs 2. But it was like the whole thing that they were walking us through was one of the first levels, and he was explaining like all the mechanics of like how you can like the decision paths that you can take. And it was just like, I mean, he's like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can hack this and make that happen, and it was just like, I'm like, Jesus.
Right? I miss that kind of game design. I think it's really neat to be able to have such a manipulative.
You should try out Deus Ex. Deus Ex.
Yeah, I've been told that.
It's exactly like that. It's since you're on PlayStation, you could also do Detroit New Human or is it New Human?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
That one is entirely, nearly entirely based around decisions.
Okay.
which is really it's got some, and for Detroit there's some really cool fan fiction actually, because everyone gets really attached to the character that they run, because you are put into so many like very serious decision points that you have to make.
Okay.
You actually, like, there's a large number of people who have gotten really attached to their character because they've gone through like traumatic events with them.
Interesting. I remember my very first PlayStation game was Beyond Two Souls, and I bought it specifically because of how pretty the game was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not gonna lie, I bought a PlayStation to play Beyond Two Souls because of how beautiful the graphics were on it. It's just Detroit, whatever the new
that
human
was
or
Quantic,
Beyond Human,
right? Wasn't Quantic?
I do not remember I don't remember the developer. I wish I did. It was a really cool story too. Detroit Become Human. Thank you, Pens.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the same developer that did. That's the same developer that did Heavy Rain and Detroit. Okay.
Yeah, just really pretty, well designed.
They
kind
have,
of creepy because they're just so close. I mean, it's just that it hits that point right before the, what is it called? The psychological point where it becomes too close to actually human. That it makes
like
you feel creepy.
It's I know what you're talking about, but I just blanked on it.
I did too.
Chat. Yes, those are both games. The founders of Quantic was David Cage. David Cage, and I think I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Guillaume de Fondemier, I believe is what it is. But Quantic Dream is the developer for both Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human.
Nice. All right, Blue, what's your number one?
My number one, like I kind of mentioned this before we started recording, my number one is actually kind of a cheat because I refuse to let myself play any of these, but it's most of MMORPGs. The reason I refuse to let myself play them is because I know myself. I wouldn't talk to anybody because I'd get obsessed with them. Because my personality, once I find like something I like, you know, we were kind of also kind of talking about this. Like I start, when I focus in on something, pretty much everything stops for me outside of those things, which makes like what I do for my job really, it's a very good skill to have, but it's also dangerous because I can literally lose time if I'm working on something that I'm really focused on. And MMORPGs are dangerous for people like that because...
Is there a particular one?
The one that immediately comes to mind, of course, is World of Warcraft. I played the RTS version of Warcraft. I know that's like nothing like World of Warcraft. The other one that I tried, I did try, I think it's Knights of the Old Republic. I wasn't blown away by it, so I was able to kind of I dabbled in that one. The other ones that I would like to play, but I won't let myself, are the Elder Scrolls Online and
oh god, I had
Elder Scrolls
such
Online.
a hard time with Elder Scrolls Online. Like, I like Elder Scrolls.
The story arcs
really
that
do,
they are telling from the Elder Scrolls Online is fascinating. Like the animation videos and the story arcs that they're telling are really cool. When I look at the gameplay, I'm like, I think again the mechanics would get in the way for me.
I also feel like I'm dragged out of the immersion aspect of it whenever I see other people in the same freaking area with me that are not part of my... That's
kind of my problem with MMOs in general, is because I mean, I'm right there with you. The other one that I've always heard really high, respect for is EverQuest. I never got into it.
Okay.
But I know many people who like swear up and down on that game, and who have had very good memories of it. So I mean, like it's just one of those things where it's like MMOs are one of those things that it's like the ivory tower for, not even ivory tower. It's like the thing that's like, I'm like, I really shouldn't touch that with a 50-foot pole but I really, really want to.
It's your kryptonite.
Yeah, I'm like, this is something that is really never going to happen. Because if it does, I'm going to get in lots of trouble.
Your wife is not going to
My
like you.
My wife will kill me.
Yeah. And luckily I started out as such a huge like MMO type player, but I've moved and I've discovered that I enjoy the social interactions that you can get with the online type games. But there's still, I don't know, there's still part of me who likes to push through a story by myself.
You mean for like Destiny, like first person, like PvP-esque, or well, not PvP, but like, because I mean, like MMOs are online, but it's not as cooperative as like the Destiny's such a hard thing to like limit into a genre, because I know technically a lot of people lump Destiny into an MMO,
right?
Light, but yeah, no.
Which in some cases it really is. But at the same time, I can still go into a mission
by yourself
and not see anybody and actually have the immersion of beating the mission by itself.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go into like Elder Scrolls Online, the model has completely shifted to the point where I don't get to do that ever. There's nothing, I don't think, none of the missions that I ever played where I can actually just enjoy being in the world by itself, because I like escapism.
So
I like
because like Diablo 3 has that functionality, but you can turn it off.
Yeah.
Like you can play through Diablo 3 completely solo, or you can. I want to say, I know that you can join other of your friends, because my brother and I do that. But I think you can actually turn it on where your world is open to other people too. But that's an entirely, like, you can toggle that on and off, which is actually why I Diablo is one of those games that's very dangerous for me, because it's I'm like, I'm gonna just go hack and slash it, and I'm like, oh look, 4 hours have gone by.
Diablo is one of those weird games that my sister has actually played, because my sister's not necessarily a gamer. So I don't know, it's really weird, because
it's got a very low entry bar. It's actually one of the reasons. It's actually why I like Path of Exile. The reason I don't play Path of Exile anymore is because I'm not a fan of the seasonal resets, which is Diablo 3's kind of gone that way too. But like, I love Path of Exile's story. I love it. Love Path of Exile's story. It's really cool. But yeah, I got done with the Path of Exile and I was like, all right, let's do this. And then the next season rolled up and they're like, you get to start over. And I'm like, I get to what now?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't get to play the whole same story. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I enjoyed that. But I mean, it's a free to play game, so it's not
true.
I mean, I got for the $0 that I paid for it, I got plenty of entertainment for it. But
my number one is going to kind of be one of those things that I don't know. I kind of want to play it, but I also don't think I ever will. And I know that's not necessarily the topic that we're doing.
No, that's pretty much what my number ones are.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a gaming franchise that is well known. It's always been around. It's one of those things like everybody should play it because there's so many references back to it.
I'm trying to guess which one you're going with.
It's I blame Beard, if that gives you any hint. It's not Nier. It's not Nier Automata. Although that one almost made my list.
You would lose your mind if you played. Nier sucks up your brain and soul as well as your time.
It's Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Any of the Final Fantasies. And it's mainly because when Beard talked about the story of it, or when we talked about the story of it, it was just such a massively complicated thing that I'm interested enough to actually put up with it. And that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I don't know if I actually will, because I know there's so many games now. And I know everyone's just like, just play 7. You're fine with 7, right?
I hated 7.
That's what they're remaking.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no. Again, going back to, I don't like squad games. Like,
Yeah.
and Final Fantasy, that's like one of the core components to it. That's actually why I liked Final Fantasy Tactics, was because Tactics was a true turn-based like art. It was like a simple version of an RTS because you had units, but it was like army tactics. Like it wasn't like your
like,
real time. You have 4 people and you have to keep spells and blah blah. And I'm like, that's my brain. Like I play games to shut my brain down. I don't play games to enhance brain activity, which is weird to say sometimes. But like I like being able to focus in and be like, I know that this is going to do this and this and this. And Final Fantasy Tactics, like give Final Fantasy Tactics a try if you have time. You can get them on mobile devices now. It's actually, I think I have mine on Tactics Advanced is on Game Boy Advance, so I know I'm sure they have an emulator out there for it. But I never
tried any of the Game Boy games.
I really enjoyed Final Fantasy Tactics, and I'm one of the very, I guess, few people that I can't stand Final Fantasy games because of the mechanics, not because of the story. The story is very fascinating. It's a little cliche in some areas, but the mechanics just constantly got in the way of me enjoying what was going on.
Yeah.
But the story for Tactics is, that story is simply amazing.
What's on your also rand list?
Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny,
I figured that
Destiny
was going to show
2,
up just as a kind of a funny...
Yeah, Destiny 2 is one of those
reality.
games that I really would like to play sometime. I've heard that it's really good.
You think... Okay, those of you listening, you think he's joking.
I haven't...
But
I don't think I've turned my Xbox on in like 3 weeks.
There's also a deal that Blue and I made last year around this time that I would be the one to focus on the gameplay and he would be the one to focus on the tech space.
Time.
Yeah. So
I
get it.
I know a lot of people have weighed in on that, but I mean like the whole thing that Destiny's doing with the season and the whole like FOMO, I'm like to me, like I am arguably more and more secure in my ability to admit that I'm a very casual gamer. So like that whole that model, just to me, it's like, okay, like I'll get on and I'll play the campaign that they release, but like I'm like, eh. And I'm also terrible because I never paid attention to meta. Like I have the loadout that I've had since D2 launched, really.
And it's changed so drastically recently. Like there's been a lot of shifts in the meta.
Right.
They upped sidearms. They've done a lot of different things with
but I mean, like I still have my
Nameless
Nameless Midnight.
Yeah.
Like I still run with my original. Oh yeah.
Right.
But I mean, but that's like even when they weren't viable, I was the one that was still because I just like I that's just like I said, I don't like playing games that I have to constantly be like, all right, what's this. I'm like, I don't play that way. I play games to just like to relax and to have just have fun, which is why I do a lot of like solo playthroughs or solo games and stuff like that. And like I've never been a big, like I can hold my own in PvP, but I've never been like a huge PvP person. So like it's like, okay, all right, cool, whatever.
You still do circles around me in Halo.
Well, that and so I still attribute that to the fact that Halo was the game that I pretty much grew up playing. Like the mentality that you have, like the mentality you have to have with Halo, as far as like knowledge of maps and knowledge of mechanics of movement and stuff, is completely different than with I mean, it's like any other game. It's completely different from every other thing out there. And so like, growing up playing Halo, everyone who I grew up with who played Halo has the same like understanding of like, hey, you can do this or that. And yeah, and Pins is talking about like the weapons don't really matter the same way that they do in Destiny, because the damage output, like if I have a BR or a battle rifle and a person opposed me has a battle rifle, even though they might look different because they have different skins, the real in a PvP situation, they're going to be the same. Like it's
right,
literally map
it's
knowledge and hit.
Yeah, it's the competitive style of gameplay.
Yeah, whereas with Destiny, they have this really weird synergy between PvE and PvP, and they don't segregate the balancing. So it's like you have different iterations in the same thing, and so there's like that's where the meta is so much more important in Destiny,
right?
And they also don't have
that's
like
why,
go for it.
I think that's why Destiny probably will never have an esports following.
No, I mean it's the blessing and the curse. Your PvP is always going to be interesting, but it's also always going to be, air quotes, I say this gently, broken. Because there's always going to be some combination that outplays other combinations.
Do you remember back at the beginning of D2 how PvP was at all? Did you ever play PvP back then?
I mean, like, yes, but I don't. I mean, I don't remember it being like super different than anything else. So, for Destiny, like Destiny D2, PvP has always been kind of like all right. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, I mean, dang, that's rough.
I mean, that's why Gambit was so bad for me, was because I was like, "What the hell is going on?" I've got better. I've gotten better. Like I've got Gambit. Good. Gambit. I actually like. I think it was you and Ninja. Ninja Hates You. When I was with what was that, GuardianCon last year, when you guys were talking and you guys talked to me and they're like, no, do this. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'm like, and then as soon as I started doing that, I was like, oh, okay, this is like, it actually kind of clicked.
Yeah. Okay, so back in the beginning of D2, they actually really balanced out the weapons. It's like there was no major outliers. Everything was really equal, and people hated it. They hated it. And for as much complaining and whining that you hear people do about the metas and about the shifts, some of the best times that people have had in the game is abusing something like
Yeah, and that's the thing is like that's the double-edged sword, right?
Essentially, right. But that's why Destiny is kind. I mean, I hate to call it a casual shooter game, but in some respects, it is.
Yeah, I would
compared to like Halo or COD, where everything's regulated highly,
or
even Overwatch.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like in Halo, like the reason why I don't get like super salty about Destiny PvP is because if you go over to Halo, you have the crazy shenanigan playlist. Like you have Griffball, you have Rockin' Rails, you have Super Fiesta.
Right.
Like, I mean, and those are some of the funniest places to play. Like, I mean, just like, and it's all unbalanced. Like, it's just everything is like Griffball is absolutely bonkers. I know one person who's played a game of Griffball that didn't die, and we still don't really understand how he did it. We still think he cheated, but we're not really sure about that. But then the thing is also you have like SWAT, you have the 3v3 or the 2v2, like the very regulated ones. So you have like that balance going on. So you have both of them. Whereas in Destiny, it's kind of like, I think so many people are so used to... Well, and the other thing is, like, when you have curated roles, people have significantly more investment, it seems like, in their items. So, like, the air quote, God role, I don't even know what, Luna's Howl, or what's the other one? Is it Better Devils? Or is it... I can't... Whatever. The other, like, really big hand cannon that was... there for a while.
Duke was there. Yeah, Better Devils was there. Spare Rations is still there.
Spare Rations is anyway, but like the one when you have those air quote God roll ones, see, like in Halo that was never a situation because you don't have rolls on weapons. Like, you pick up a gun and that's the gun. Whereas, like, in Destiny, you can spend hours on hours basically creating these guns through the RNG process, and then to go into a PvP match and be like, yeah, that's the same as the other one that this guy spent 30 seconds on. I can see the frustration there, but the catch-22 is exactly kind of what you're saying, is like, if you're gonna want your gun to be better than the gun that has the same name, it's going to be broken. Like, by the end of itself, it's going to be broken.
Right. I don't know. It's just interesting I like the Destiny model. I know I really would love to have an esports thing, but I know it's not going to happen in this game. I love watching Overwatch esports. I enjoy watching Halo esports. Mm-hmm. I don't like COD for some reason. I just never got into that scene, but
yeah, I don't blame you.
That could be because of a variety of reasons, namely the fact that very first time I was on there, I had people cursing at me.
Oh, yeah. And the toxicity in that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was weird. It was my brother's account because I had never played it before. I'd never played a shooter, and my brother handed me the controller, and I went, okay. And then I was like, here, take that back. So,
sorry, Pins. Super Fiesta. Where you go having an answer and Orfang to a plasma pistol.
God, that's stupid game mode. You never learn a gun. Like, you never have a gun long enough to learn what it does.
The best way to trigger green.
Oh my god, I freaking hate that game type. And it's what you always want to play when we play together. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do also rans for me before I get way too triggered about that. BioShocks.
Yes.
I started playing BioShock Infinite. BioShock is free to play right now on PlayStation.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah,
dude. Yes, and it's the whole collection, so you can get all the games
you
with
have
that,
to play at
nice.
least the first one.
Someday.
It might be. I haven't played it in a long time, so it might be clunky, but the story for the first one is just it's so good. The others are good, but man, the first BioShock is still, out of that entire series, is my favorite one. It really is, just because it was such a cool game.
I got really frustrated with Infinite, which is the one BioShock game I have played. That's the most recent one, right? The one up in the sky. That's the cloud, kind of the steampunk version. I got really frustrated with it just because of a variety of reasons. It was kind of that mixture of a shooter as well as this adventure game, and I hadn't had any real experience with that kind of thing. But you still had to modify all your stuff at the same time. So it was just... I just didn't give it too much time to really practice it, I guess, rather than anything else. Beyond that, The Last of Us I'd like to play someday. Just because I know that story is really intense, and again, it's a really pretty game.
Yes. I've watched the cutscenes for that one. That's got some feelings.
Oh yeah, and Last of Us 2 is coming out soon. Or if it's not already out. I know it's one of those ones that are coming really, really close. A funny one, I had a friend who had a PSP when I was in college, and he let me borrow it a few times, and the game he had on it was called Patapon, which is the stupidest little game where it's a rhythm-based game, where you have to push buttons to the beat in certain combinations, and your little troops will go off and fight other Patapons, and you get little things, and it's like, and it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's so addicting.
I'm looking this up.
It's so dumb, but it's so funny. Yeah, Patapon.
Patapon. Oh my gosh. Okay, Patapon. Patapon 4.
Yeah, Patapon 2 is the one that you can get on PlayStation right now.
This looks hilarious.
It's fun. It's actually it's similar to another one of my games that I want to play is Beat Saber. I don't have a VR system, and Beat Saber looks like a ton of fun. I had on Xbox.
What do you mean?
I had the
we play
Kinect.
It every time we go into the Infinite Forest.
I hate you. God, now I can't get that out of my head. You are a jerk. But, yeah, Chocolate Shark in chat is talking about having it on her PSP. It's a great little game. It's addicting. It's a nice little time killer.
The graphics look pretty funny, or not fun. Like they look entertaining. Like it's like really colorful.
Yeah, it's kid safe. It's kid friendly. It's one of those games that is just a rhythm based game, kind of like how Guitar Hero used to be, or Rock Band and stuff like that. But it's very simplified, which is a lot of fun to just kind of chip away at. Then I mentioned Beat Saber, Patapon. The one that I'm looking forward to coming out, though, is a game that I kind of stumbled across while digging through PlayStation. It's called Dreams. And this is literally a platform for creation, is what it is. And it's a, let me see who it's by, Media Molecule, creators of Little Big Planet and Tearaway. Mm-hmm. So they made this game platform that allows you to do composition like you did like in Mario Paint, if you remember way back on like Super Nintendo.
Okay.
You can do compositions, you can create your own games on it, you can draw, you can sculpt, you can paint, you can do all sorts of different things in this game because it's literally just a sandbox game. There's no...
Yeah, this reminds me of Project Spark on Xbox.
It's very similar to that, but it's really kind of neat looking as far as like the trailer that they've given and the concept. So I'm really looking forward to having something that gives me the chance to just have a forge essentially and play around in the VR setting or in the video game setting. Did you have any others on your also Rans?
I mean, there's tons of games.
Yeah, there are.
There's like there's a few indie like Greedfall. I want to like, I don't know, like the thing that my biggest thing is like, you know, again, time and my air quotes sensitivity there towards mechanics. Like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I just want to know the story in the games. Like I'm like, I really want to know what's going on in this world. Like I just want to know the world building aspects. I don't really care about the challenge. Like I'm like, whatever. Like I just tell me more about this and tell me more about that. You know, like Plague Tales. I think it's Plague Tales: Innocence looks fascinating. Also looks aggravating as hell because it's very. I'm not going to say it's on the level of Dark Souls, but it seems like it's very like that type of Dark Souls light. If you mess up, you basically have to start over. But it's also it's the story basically of like two siblings who have to survive the Black Death, and like they're trying to like you're trying to get away from the rats, and you know it's a fascinating looking game. I don't know how much of a story. Like there's the Cthulhu game that came out I think last year that looks really really interesting. I mean, actually, that being said, Dark Souls has a fascinating lore. The problem with Dark Souls lore is you have to actually play the game to get to it. Like there is there's nothing outside of the game other than what's been discovered in the game. But yeah, so I mean, like, yeah, that's where I am now. It's like just give me the game world. Like I just want to be able to explore the game world. I want to, you know, just look at that. So, which is probably why I do a good job on, or why I fit so well with the podcast. Because
I mean, you would think we like stories or something.
Speaking of that,
novel. Yeah, should we start wrapping up a little bit so we can move on to
so we can talk about
things?
the other stuff?
The other stuff that we're going to talk about that's not actually games, like stories, we're talking about tonight that are other things, because we're doing the first week of the month thing.
Mm-hmm. Food? What?
Okay. We could talk about food. I like food. All right. Thank you guys, as always, for joining us. It's a lot of fun to do these kind of things. So just if you ever have any feedback about these episodes, or if you enjoy them, if you don't enjoy them, things you like, dislike, whatever, if you want to just say hi, hit us up in Discord, Twitter. Just, you know, you can find us. We're out there. We're hanging around a little bit. I'm maybe a little bit more on Twitter than Blue is, but, you know, just hit us up. And, you know, I guess we have the outro of Everybody Loves a List.